Today, September 22nd, the crescent moon in Libra is opening a rare energetic field, a moment where God pours balance and justice upon his people. But be careful, this energy isn't available to everyone. It is reserved for the chosen ones, those who have already awakened, who have been facing trials, silences, losses, and disconnections. All of this was necessary for this very moment. Today is an energetic turning point where you can restore what has been broken, find clarity within the chaos, and reconnect with your purpose and with those who are truly in tune with your mission. In this video, I will reveal what this portal of balance is activating on the spiritual plane, how this directly impacts your journey as the chosen one, and what you need to do today to enter this divine flow before it closes. Stay until the end, because there you will understand why everything had to move out of place so that you can now return to your sacred axis. There's a part of you that learned early to ask for little and expect even less. Maybe you were taught to be modest, to equate abundance with arrogance, or desire with danger. These lessons wrap themselves around your instincts, shaping how you receive and how you ask. Now, when life leans in to offer more, a silent resistance rises. You nod politely and shrink back, not because you don't want it, but because something in you still believes you shouldn't. And that belief, it's not yours, it was inherited. This lunar phase is no ordinary one. Libra speaks through it, not with noise, but with a soft insistence. Balance what you give with what you are willing to receive. The universe speaks in opportunities, but you've been conditioned to mistrust the sound of good fortune. It's not punishment, it's a pattern. And patterns, once seen, can be redrawn. You don't need to fight for every coin to prove you're worthy. Sometimes, worthiness is about knowing when to stop resisting what wants to reach you. The real tension isn't about money. It's the inner war between the identity you built to survive and the one longing to emerge now. One plays small to protect, the other expands to heal. But you can't serve both. What Libra brings isn't just outer harmony. It's an invitation to choose peace within, especially where your beliefs about prosperity live. When you stop repeating what others feared, you begin to write your own laws of abundance. Prosperity often arrives disguised as discomfort, the kind that comes when something beautiful approaches and you don't know how to hold it. But here's the secret. You don't need to know how. You only need to not push it away. There is no virtue in scarcity when it's built on guilt. No nobility in turning away from support. So, ask yourself gently, who taught you that receiving was dangerous? And are you ready to unlearn that now? There are moments when something good knocks at your door, and instead of opening, you pause. Not because you don't want it, but because part of you questions if it's really meant for you. The mind recalls old phrases dressed as truths. Don't expect too much. Money changes people. Be grateful with less. These are not wisdoms. They are cages disguised as caution. And Libra now brings light to the quiet contracts you've kept with scarcity. Contracts you never signed consciously, but still obey. This lunar influence doesn't bring answers, it brings mirrors. In relationships, in finances, in how you value yourself. Somewhere along the way, you confused deserving with proving. So you work harder, give more, and yet feel emptier when abundance doesn't follow. But Libra doesn't reward effort, it honors alignment. And balance only comes when you dare to hold both grace and gain without guilt. This is not about greed. It's about healing your relationship with receiving. Think of the opportunities you've turned down subtly, the raise you didn't ask for, the help you rejected, the dreams you delayed. Not because they weren't possible, but because they felt too big for someone raised to believe in just enough. The universe doesn't withhold, it reflects. And right now, it's reflecting your readiness to choose a new truth. You are not wrong for wanting more, but you must want it from a place of wholeness, not lack. There is power in rewriting your internal scripts, power in replacing shame with permission. The moon in Libra doesn't shout, it whispers, asking if you are ready to balance the scales not just in your bank account, but in your self-worth. The moment you question the inherited belief that having is dangerous, a door unlocks. And through that door, something unexpected is waiting. It's not just money. It's the version of you that finally believes it's safe to thrive. You've walked the straight line, showed up, gave more, stayed late. You've chased the promise that effort alone guarantees return. But what happens when the harvest delays? Somewhere, frustration builds not just with the world, but with yourself, as if not receiving were a sign of not being enough. But Libra enters now with a quiet disruption. What if the door hasn't opened because you've been knocking on the wrong side? This astrological movement does not reward struggle. It reveals where you are misaligned with your own worth. Between September 22nd and 25th, an unexpected shift may arise not through force, but through flow. And yet, flow is only possible when you allow softness to replace control. The universe listens more clearly when you're not shouting. It delivers not to the most desperate, but to the most congruent. Maybe the missing piece was never more effort, but more inner permission. You've been taught to earn everything, to prove yourself before receiving. But Libra doesn't operate through linear logic. It harmonizes what's within and what's around. If you undervalue your time, your gifts, your presence, life mirrors that price tag. This lunar influence whispers, you are allowed to receive without bleeding for it. The balance you seek isn't out there. It's in how you treat your own desires. Let go of the belief that receiving must always come after exhaustion. Sometimes the most profound breakthroughs arrive disguised as small shifts. A message, a chance, a yes you weren't expecting. But to receive them, you must first loosen your grip on how things should be. You've tried control. Now try coherence. What you want might already be near, but only balance makes it visible. This is not about giving up. It's about giving space. Because sometimes abundance arrives when you finally stop chasing and start choosing. You've played by the rules, given your best, waited your turn, and still, the reward you expected slips through quiet cracks, leaving only questions behind. In moments like these, it's tempting to double down. More effort, more control. But Libra leans in like a mirror held to your core. What if the universe isn't withholding, but waiting for you to realign? Not with labor, but with self-trust. Balance is not a passive state. It's an active inner negotiation. You can't build abundance while secretly believing you don't deserve ease. Between September 22nd and 25th, the energy invites release, not from responsibility, but from rigidity. A shift is near, but it responds to resonance, not resistance. The more you try to force the timing, the more elusive it becomes. But what if the breakthrough doesn't arrive on schedule because it's meant to arrive in surrender? You weren't meant to earn your worth through burnout. That was someone else's script. This moon whispers of another path, one paved with clarity, boundaries, and refined receiving. The discomfort you feel now is not failure. It's recalibration. You're shedding the old idea that results must mirror effort and learning that sometimes they mirror self-regard. Energy doesn't lie. Where you doubt, life delays. Where you trust, life responds. What if the thing you've been chasing is already moving toward you, but can only reach you when you stop running? Pause, breathe, reclaim your seat at the table of enough. This chapter is not about striving, it's about aligning. Let Libra recalibrate your compass, not toward perfection, but toward peace. And in that stillness, abundance might just find its way home, without warning, without wait, and exactly on time. You want to receive more. You've visualized abundance, set your intentions, made your lists. But something lingers beneath the surface, a subtle resistance. It's not the world denying you. It's the story you still carry inside. The story where money meant mistakes, shame, or betrayal. The story where you learned to flinch before allowing yourself to feel worthy again. Libra, now rising in her waxing grace, doesn't demand action, she invites reflection. Her balance isn't about perfection, but integration. She reveals where your past choices still shape your present limitations. You can't welcome what you secretly believe you don't deserve. And until you forgive yourself for what you did or failed to do with money in the past, prosperity will keep arriving late or not at all. Maybe it was the debt you hid, the job you stayed in too long, the chance you missed. Whatever the moment was, it became a scar you now protect instead of heal. But here's the truth. Every version of you was doing the best they could with what they knew. Holding on to guilt doesn't make you responsible. It makes you stuck. Let the past inform you, not imprison you. This lunar phase brings a rare alignment, the inner scale tipping toward emotional maturity. If abundance is to find you, it needs a self who's no longer bracing for punishment. The universe doesn't count your past missteps, only your capacity to rise, whole. The doorway to unexpected wealth isn't in doing more. It's in no longer hiding from what's already been felt. Reconciliation opens what effort alone cannot. You say you want to prosper, but part of you still whispers you don't deserve it. Maybe it was one wrong investment, or a time you asked for help and were met with judgment. Money didn't just leave you broke, it left you exposed. And that exposure became silence, a quiet vow to never want too much again. Yet, what you silence festers. And what festers blocks. Libra brings air to what has been buried, not to stir shame, but to restore grace. She reminds you that abundance cannot thrive where self-reproach lives. When the scale tips toward your worthiness, not your wounds, the current begins to move. This moon phase doesn't ask you to hustle harder. It asks you to stop fighting the part of you that once failed. You cannot rise while dragging your old guilt behind you. Those numbers in the bank are never just numbers. They carry meaning, memory, sometimes mourning. But they also carry potential, a sacred permission to begin again. What if your greatest breakthrough wasn't about earning more, but about feeling less unworthy when it arrives? What if life isn't punishing you, but waiting for you to stop punishing yourself? This is not the kind of astrology that predicts windfalls. It reveals them from within. Between now and the lunar crescendo, forgiveness is the alchemy. Your emotional truth is not a liability. It's the very soil from which new fortune can rise. Tell the story differently, not to erase the past, but to update the one person still standing in the way, the one who lived it and never let it go. Perhaps it wasn't just about money. Perhaps it was about trust, and how easily it can be misplaced when your heart is open and your instincts silenced. You gave, believing in shared visions, only to be left with debts, financial and emotional. Now something stirs. Libra, the cosmic arbiter of equilibrium, brings not a gift, but a return. This isn't luck. It's divine balance in motion, answering what your soul filed long ago. But here's the paradox. Compensation can only arrive in hands that no longer tremble. You say you're ready for the tide to turn, yet part of you still doubts. Not the world, but yourself. Will you mismanage again? Trust too fast? Lose what you finally reclaim? These questions don't sabotage your growth. They shape it. The money isn't just coming to restore your wallet. It's here to initiate a new identity. This version of you doesn't seek revenge through abundance. It seeks redemption through integrity. When you no longer need to prove your worth to those who dismissed you, the power returns. Libra teaches that balance isn't passive. It is a conscious, daily alignment. The more you trust that the past was a teacher, not a curse, the more gracefully wealth arrives. Not to fill a wound, but to crown a passage. You are not who you were when everything slipped through your fingers. That version burned so this one could rise. What knocks at your door now is not a second chance. It is rightful inheritance, matured by pain and sculpted by time. The only requirement? Receive without apology. Receive without panic. Receive because you finally understand. Prosperity is not a prize. It's a reflection of who you've become. There are moments in life when the universe whispers, "It's time." not because you begged, nor because you tried to force the outcome, but because something within you finally aligned, not with perfection, but with honesty. The recent Libra influence brings justice, not as a judgment, but as a correction. You are no longer being tested. You're being asked, can you receive without the weight of your past missteps chaining your future? Before abundance enters, it knocks gently on the door of your beliefs. Do you still believe that what you lost defines you? Do you still fear that prosperity will corrupt you or slip away again? These shadows don't disappear, they evolve. And in Libra's realm, truth isn't loud, it's balanced. If your heart can welcome money as a tool for growth, not revenge, then the door opens. Quietly, decisively. This isn't about numbers in a bank account. It's about your relationship with worth. Have you forgiven yourself for trusting too fast, giving too much, or staying too long? If so, this financial return won't come to rescue you. It will come to mirror your maturity. You're no longer the person who had to lose everything to understand value. You're the one who now knows that peace is more expensive than any mistake. There's a shift when you stop chasing what's owed and start embodying what's true. The energy that once depleted you now flows back, not to fix, but to affirm. When you hold that unexpected check, opportunity, or gift, don't ask, why me? Ask instead, what will I do with this second creation? Because it's not a second chance. It's a sacred closure, and the beginning of a new chapter, written in balance, not in blood. Sometimes, the arrival of money is not about luck, merit, or chance. It's a conversation. A sacred whisper between your internal alignment and the timing of the universe. The crescent moon in Libra doesn't simply grant rewards, it reveals mirrors. What comes to you now is not just meant to be spent, it's meant to be interpreted. A resource appears when your path becomes more defined, but only if you've stopped trying to impress and started trying to express. This phase asks for precision of purpose, not rigid plans, but rooted presence. If an opportunity lands unexpectedly, a refund, a gift, a client, a favor, pause. Ask yourself, what truth inside me has matured enough to be trusted with more? Libra's balance isn't neutral, it's discerning. It offers only to those who've stopped outsourcing their mission. Money, now, is a form of affirmation, not validation. There is a language to abundance. When it arrives during transits like this, it isn't random, it's relational. The universe is not paying you back, it's paying attention. What you receive is directly linked to how ready you are to sustain it, invest it, and expand it without abandoning yourself. This is not the time to play small or modest. This is the time to be intentional with every dollar, every yes, and every sacred no. If what lands in your lap feels bigger than your current reality, it's because your future has finally caught up to your frequency. You're not being rewarded, you're being recruited. Libra's lesson is simple but profound. Money can be harmony when it's an extension of integrity. So the question isn't, will you receive it? The real question is, will you rise into who you need to be to steward what you've been given? There are moments when life funds your transformation, not your comfort. What shows up now may seem material, but it holds spiritual instructions. Libra's rhythm doesn't reward ambition, it rewards alignment. If something of value arrives unexpectedly, consider it a message. You are being invited to lead with authenticity, not appearance. To stop surviving on borrowed dreams and begin building from your own. This isn't about asking for more. It's about being more of yourself so that more can land without resistance. The energy of this lunar transit removes distractions and refines motives. Money is not arriving because you finally deserve it. It's arriving because you finally understand what to do with it. And if you still think it's too good to be true, ask yourself, who told you it had to be hard? Those who learn to move in sync with their deeper mission don't chase abundance, they magnetize it. When your choices match your convictions, Libra opens doors with grace. What once felt out of reach now steps toward you. not because you changed the strategy, but because you stopped betraying the truth beneath the surface. Purpose is the permission. All else is permission granted. The invitation is subtle but profound, to let every resource you receive become a tool of coherence, not compensation. You're not being tested, you're being trusted. And what you do with this trust will shape more than your finances. It will shape your legacy. If wealth knocks now, let it in, not to fill a gap, but to fund a vision that only you were born to carry forward.